Guys, so I meant to do this video months ago, but I kind of got sidetracked with moving to uni, which was awesome. And just kind of settling in and getting used to it, and also my hair's kind of changed a wee bit. So I filmed most of this video, but then I got sidetracked and I like continuity, so I'm just gonna refilm it, so this is why it's taken so long for this video to come out. So here we go. How do you get cheap flights? Ta-da! I'm going to show you. So number one, and this is kind of something that not a lot of people know, but say for example you're looking for flights to Fuerteventura. Just a random one. But you know, you're searching on multiple search engines and all of a sudden you kind of feel like the prices are going up and you're not finding either the same price or a cheaper price and you don't understand why. Well, if you're using Google, Google is tracking what you are searching, how you are searching it, and what you are searching for. So those flights to Fuerteventura, if you have looked at, I don't know, maybe 5 different flight comparison sites by that point, yeah, the flights are going to go up or stay that kind of price, and yeah, you're just not getting cheap flights. But you can hide your search from Google. Your phone, most iPhones and most smartphones have the option to hide your searches or secret search, or I'm not 100% sure what it's called on iPhones, but it does exist and you can search secretly so your searches don't come up and you don't get cookies and things like that, because no one wants those. But yeah, so there's many sites on Google that will actually show you how to hide your stuff from Google. Sometimes you can I've actually got a special thing downloaded that I can just click a button and it's a secret search. Google doesn't see what I'm searching, they can't log it, they can't bank it, so that's quite easy. But it wasn't me that put that in, it was my super techie friend, and yeah, I can't take credit for that. Number 2, do not be picky where you fly to. And what do I mean by that? Okay, for example, I had a friend who was trying to get their friend up from London, and they stay in Edinburgh. Now, the bus prices were stupidly expensive, the flight prices were sillily expensive, but he was flying to Edinburgh during the kind of Edinburgh Fringe Festival, so the International Comedian Arts Festival, blah, 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 that happens there. So yeah, he wasn't getting anything cheap. And he goes, Mickey, can you help me? I'm trying to get my friend up. I'm like, okay. Have you tried searches to Glasgow? No, why? And I'm like, well, for a start, you're flying to a capital city. And secondly, you're flying to a capital city that's got an international event on. That's just going to increase your prices. So if you fly to Glasgow that's got nothing on at that time, it's not a capital city, it's going to be cheaper. Guess what? They got a really cheap bus. Never mind a flight, they got a cheap bus. So it worked out. But that's my point. If you're flying to somewhere like Charles de Gaulle in Paris, you're going to be at a fortune. But there's smaller airports. If you don't mind, I don't know, maybe an hour or 2 hour commute from the airport to where you're staying, you're going to get a cheaper flight. It's just standard. If you're flying to one of the large airports, you're going to be at a fortune. And as well, if you're only flying direct, you're paying more. But if you break it up, if you fly... okay, a good one, for example, is you can get the same price for a ferry as you can for a flight to Dublin from Glasgow. This is a really good example. So it's only £11 if you book the ferry in advance, but you can also get £11 flights. I actually used this to get cheap flights to Prague, I think it was. Initially my searches found a direct flight with, I think it was Jet2, I believe? I'm not sure. Anyway, it was one of the family-friendly groups that offered cheap holidays. It was cheap. But it was something stupid. It was something like £420 for the flights alone. And it was, the stopover was in Amsterdam for, I think it was 8 hours. Now, if I want to go to Amsterdam, I want to go to Amsterdam. I don't want to be in an airport for 8 hours. I want to go out and have maybe some time to go and enjoy Amsterdam, because Amsterdam's freaking beautiful. Like, honestly, you have to go and see it. But not for, like, the reasons I think most people go and see it. It's actually a really nice city to visit. Okay, moving on from that. Yeah, so... point being, I actually managed flights from Dublin, £11 both ways, by the way. And from Dublin, the flight was only 80 quid. Both ways. So actually, I got it down to just under £100 for the flights. And yet the family-friendly place was wanting £400, and that was also under a secret search. So it kind of shows you that they are looking for people to make the silly mistakes that they really shouldn't. Okay, so number 3. Airlines can make mistakes. They can make errors or price errors when they actually put the flights up. But because of rules and regulations, they're not allowed to correct those once they've went up, because it's basically, oh, you've told us this, you've changed the rules, and people have seen it now. Basically, once things are on social media, people have probably seen it. And especially if you're a flights company where people are probably always looking for flights, looking for cheap flights, yeah, you cannot up those prices, or you can't change those prices. So once that's there, that's there. There's many websites out there that specialize in finding these. For one, I would recommend thriftynomads.com. They try and find the cheapest possible. They don't always, but they do try, and they will sometimes catch these errors and these mistakes that, and I promise you, big budget airlines make them as well. Not as often, but they do make them. So that's one thing definitely to look out at. You can't always catch them. It's kind of 50-50, but it's humans that put those ads up, and it's humans that make those errors. And humans, we are creatures of errors. So that kind of goes in our favor. Hands up, I'm not being endorsed for this, but I'm going to recommend 3 really good travel sites if you're wanting to get cheap flights. Number 1 is Skyscanner, and I'm not recommending Skyscanner just for one singular flight. Have a look at what it shows you, because it shows you how often people go to said country, or what the peak times are for that country, which is going to be the next point. But Skyscanner, you can see what the weather's like. Sometimes you can tell which ones you want to go to. It shows you your different options if you want direct, if you want to break it up, if you're happy to break it up, and it tells you like the travel times between them, which is really good. For one of them, it was a cheap flight, but it was something like, it was in London, but you had to get to a separate airport. It wasn't even the same airport. But it's good that it tells you that, because, well, if you miss your flight, then that's your problem, because you can get to the airport in time. And yeah, you're not going to get covered by that, especially not in London. But yeah. Second one, you've probably heard of it, Kayak. It's getting quite popular now. I would maybe look at that set. No, I'd look at that third, actually. I'd look at Kayak third. Good prices, good options if you're like a traveler, or when I say traveler, if you like exploring places, you like seeing the places cheaply. If you're a backpacker, that is the one I would suggest second. The one I would suggest first is one called Kiwi, because you know everything good is Kiwi. Rugby teams, yeah. Yeah, so Kiwi is basically, it's silly good for flights. For example, you can literally have a search from your city to anywhere, and it tells you which ones are the cheapest places to go. So if you're not being picky, if you're not really, you have that designated place you want to go to, you just want to go somewhere, and this is the one I would recommend to everybody, because you get cheap flights, and you get cheap flights everywhere and anywhere, and just that one place you're like, oh, I've never been there, I quite fancy going there. So that's the one that's my go-to, is Kiwi. I'll actually show you an example of this. Okay, so here we go, here's Kiwi. Now, so for the search I've done, it's just London to anywhere, and this is why I love it, just anywhere. I put in some random dates, so the 7th of January to Wednesday the 16th. I could have put in any date, but you can also create a price alert. It depends what you're wanting. You've also got a nice little map here, which geographically shows you where you would like to go. So you can actually prefer this website to show you the cheapest stuff first, but it will more likely show you the most popular destinations before the cheapest. So New York, for a return for 9 nights, 312 is actually not too bad. Paris, again, I'd say that's quite good. Could probably get them lower, but these are probably direct flights as well. That's extremely good for that price. But there is one stopover and it shows you that, but again, that's really good. Dubai, one stopover, and again, it tells you how long the stopover and the flights are and everything. So This is my go-to. This is my yeah, most holidays I book, if I'm looking randomly, this is the place I go to, because it's silly prices but very much well worth it. Just for example, I'll show you the cheapest. Whenever it loads. Also, go Nomad. So the cheapest, and this is what I mean, I recommend people to not be picky. I've never heard of these two places in my life, but it tells you that's Poland and that's Lithuania. And the pictures are pretty gorgeous for these places. It just shows you places. Like I said, like, don't be picky. Poland, that looks like Spain to me, but it's Poland. But exactly my point, you know, don't be picky, and you tend to get the better deals.